Hey there, folks. Jay here with First Direct Corp with another video presentation on another application I've written for GoldMine users. This is a malformed email address cleaner or remover. Um, a lot of clients have email addresses that they've collected over the years. They've had other users enter records and add records to the database, maybe from an import. But over time, the records that they add may be bad emails, malformed emails, not properly formatted emails. What do I mean by that? Like, here's a record that I've created a test for where the email address is just at gmail.com, right? Well, that's not a valid email. It's what we call a malformed email. It's not properly formatted for an email address. An email address should have some text. Ideally, I think it needs to have 2 or 3 characters before the at sign. It needs to have an at sign and only one at sign, and then a domain, and then either a .com, a .net, a .org, etc. at the end of that domain. So there's a very specific format, and there's a way to determine that using a SQL query uh, in GoldMine. And in the past, and here's another example I'm showing you, John Doe at 1ST Direct, comma, com, right? So that's not a dot, that's actually a comma. Goldmine will allow you to add these malformed emails. I'm going to add a one here. I'm going to add a one, and I'm just going to put in a phone number. I see this a lot. A lot of people will incorrectly, and actually, it's saying it already exists because I've got that on another one. So I'm just going to add another bogus email. So you'll see this a lot. You'll also see website addresses. I see people that put in website addresses. I'll put goldminesuccess.com. That's our blog. So you can actually have a website entered into the email address field. Goldmine is not force validating these. There's no way in Goldmine out of the box. Goldmine does not do this. It does not verify or force you to enter a valid email address. I wish it did, but it does not. And so you do over time get these malformed email addresses in your Goldmine database. We do have a way of running a query to get a list of all those bad emails. I had a customer just last week that tried to scrub their Goldmine database, and I kid you not, they had about 150 to 200 of these malformed emails that contained phone numbers, website addresses, multiple at signs, maybe no name, at the domain. But there are times where you see this as well. You'll see like brackets around the email address, and that usually happens when people copy it from an email and paste it into Goldmine and don't realize that they not supposed to have the brackets around the email address. You're only supposed to have the email address in Goldmine. Again, another phone number, another website, goldminesuccess.com that I just entered into there. So there is a way to get a list of these with a SQL query for Goldmine, but now somebody has to click on each one of these, go to the record, go find that email, and in here, and then manually delete that. If you have 100 of those, or 1,000 of them, or even 50 or 60, it's going to take you some time to go through and clean up these emails. In most cases, if it's something like this, well, you don't want to delete that. You'd want to come in here and find that email and then update, the comma com with a dot com, right? You'd want to clean those up. But for all the ones that are just completely not valid emails, well, we want a way to easily clean those and remove those. So I've written this very simple web interface, web app. I'm going to go ahead and log in here to my locally hosted uh, app. You'll notice here at the very top, local host, right? This is not hosted out on the internet. This is something hosted in my office. I'm going to log in here. And all we have to do is click this get bad emails. It's going to go out to the database, just like that SQL query that I ran in Goldmine. It's going to utilize that SQL query to get a list of all the bad emails. We can sort these. I can even search and say, hey, give me the ones with a bracket or with a comma, in it, etc. The ones that are website addresses, I'm not gonna delete all these. I want to delete the ones that are just not valid emails at all. Something that I cannot determine or clean up or fix and make correct. Like that's nothing, right? What is that? I can't make that a correct email. That I don't know who that is at gmail.com. These are phone numbers. But test@test.com, yes, test@test.com is not a valid email, but maybe that's John at some domain.com. And really all I'd want to hear is just remove these brackets. So I'm going to leave that in the system. But anything that's not a valid email at all. Something that couldn't be easily cleaned up to make it a correct email. I'm just going to delete the really bad ones. And again, I might have 500, I might have 100. I've actually manually entered these today for today's demonstration. But you yourself, you might have hundreds. So this little app would make it fairly easy for you to go in and just hit delete, and boom, all those email addresses that I selected on are now gone. If I go back and get bad emails, you'll notice the only ones that remain are the ones that I did not want to delete. I can now go into my GoldMine and rerun that query and get a list of those somewhat fairly clean emails. And I can go into there and I can say, hey, this test at test.com or John at whatever, I just need to clean that up now and hit OK. And now I have a valid email. Here's one that has a comma at the end. I don't need the comma at the end. And if I go back and run this query in here, you'll notice the two that I just cleaned up are gone. And if I go back to this web app, if I go home and get bad emails, there's just one. So this tool makes it very easy to delete very quickly with a click of a few buttons a large amount of emails. I'm going to work next on finding a way of allowing you to click into this application to edit an email and update it within this app. Obviously, you could do that right through this SQL query, like I was doing, going into the record, finding the email, and cleaning it up. But it might be nice within this tool to do it as well. So that is my next project, and hopefully I'll come back with another video to show that functionality. But if you have a large number of malformed emails in your database and you want to clean those up ahead of time, beforehand, before either exporting them to be cleaned through a list cleaning service, you obviously wouldn't want to pay for a list cleaning service to clean a list of emails that you know ahead of time or could determine ahead of time that are just not valid anyways. Right? You wouldn't want to submit a phone number to a list cleaning service to determine that it's not a valid email. They will charge you. Some of these services will charge you for a bad email address and something that is not a valid email. A lot of them will do that for you to determine that it's not clean. And why pay all that extra money on list cleaning services when you could use an app like this over time, right? You have this and you say, hey, get bad emails. If you're doing a lot of importing, a lot of manual entry of records, etc., a tool like this could be pretty useful to you. If you have interest, please do give us a call here at First Direct, 845 221 3800.